Queen Egbo is in the house once again, talking about WNBA, AU, college. Queen has thoughts about all of it, and we always want to hear what she has to say. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Hi, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. Over 170,000 of you showed up in December alone, the way we show up for you, 6 days a week, talking all things past, present, and future of women's basketball. And it is not just me, it is the entire team over at thenexthoops.com. We cover over 100 reported pieces about women's basketball every single month. College, WNBA, we have a dedicated reporter for Athletes Unlimited as well. Go ahead and subscribe. $9 a month, $72 a year. It all shows up in your inbox. It's an incredible opportunity, thenexthoops.com. And that is a place where we have covered today's guest, Queen Egbo, on any number of occasions during her time at Baylor, during her time in the WNBA. She is, of course, lending her star power to Athletes Unlimited. I am always happier after you and I talk. And so, Queen, just to begin, when you think about what this offseason has meant, you talked to me a little bit off air about that you're working on PT to strengthen your knee. Tell me what you are hoping that will mean for your game as you head into not only AU, but year 3 of the WNBA season for you.
It's definitely going to allow me to compete for a longer period of time and just compete at the level I know that I can play at. Battling knee injuries is never easy. It definitely limits you in a way. So just being able to play to the ceiling I know that I'm capable of playing at, and being confident within myself and knowing that my body is under control and it's doing what it needs to do. So just going into AU with a sense of confidence and being able to compete in every game at a high level and transferring that to the league would definitely help me.
You think about what AU means, and it means something bigger, first of all, because you have multiple opportunities during the WNBA offseason as a professional. And I remember us talking, ahead of you going over to Turkey and, playing there, making the decision to be home. I know you're in Houston right now. I had the opportunity to meet both Deuce and Lady. I don't know if they're still available for the podcast, but obviously they're welcome, current and future guests. But, the opportunity to choose feels like a very big deal as you think about being a professional. How different is that already than even just the way you thought of what being a professional was going to be, as you were playing as an undergrad at Baylor?
You never really know what it takes to be a professional until you're in that profession. I feel like when I was a little younger a few years ago, when I was thinking about what it takes to be a professional, that looks completely different than what it actually takes to be a professional. The details, the time, the effort, the concentration, and the focus that I feel like professional athletes have is just something that you don't understand until you get to that point and you have to make that switch. I feel like in college, you have so many people that are there to help you and so many people there to hold your hand and guide you. And in the league, it's a little different. You're an adult. You're treated like an adult more so. And people expect you to carry yourself like a professional should. And it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of control that I don't think necessarily you won't understand until you get to that point.
Tell me give me an example of a thing that you've incorporated into your day-to-day life that is professional rather than college, because that's such an interesting statement to make, so what changes, boots on the ground,
I would definitely say for me, it's very little things. I would say something that I do now that I never used to do when I was in college is just make my bed every morning. And I feel like It's so small, but it just helps me get started on the right side of things. Making my bed every morning, eating breakfast, and just um, honestly journaling. What do I want to do? What do I want to complete? I feel like they help me focus and they help me just start my days off in a better way. Yeah, making my bed though was the game changer for me. I feel like once I started making my bed
Hmm.
every single morning, it paved the way for a better, more successful day. When I come home and my bed isn't made, it takes 10 seconds to do. If you can't make your bed in the morning, I don't know. That's what I heard, so I try to live by that.
No, that's so interesting. And you talked about the journaling side. Are you writing it longhand? Do you have journals? Is it a day-to-day thing? Yeah. How do you kind of find time in your day to do it? Because that seems like such a great idea to be able to kind of focus bigger picture, even in the midst of what a day is, which is so often day-to-day tasks.
I try to journal every day, but I don't really have a lot on my mind every day that I need to jot down. I typically journal every other day or every few days, or just when I watch something and I hear something that I really want to remember, I will journal it. Or if I have a lot of emotions, or if I'm in a space where I'm uncertain, I definitely would journal and just try to get my ideas on a clean sheet of paper so I can go back to them if I need to, or just to keep myself accountable. But journaling has definitely helped me in the short amount of time I've been doing it. So
It's a huge, huge thing and a huge opportunity. So I'm glad you're doing it. And
yeah.
at the risk of, as I said, getting a little bit nerdy, I do want to talk about the things that we saw from year one to year two, because there was a really big jump in your numbers, number one, and specifically in your numbers after the move comes mid-season from Indiana to Washington, which is, I'm sure, is a challenging thing for any player to be going through, to have that kind of change. But just to kind of give the listeners a sense of this off the top, you have obviously always been an efficient scorer around the rim. You were at 62.5% at 0 to 3 as a rookie, which is a really solid number. Well, that number was at 62.3 in 2023, but it was at 78.8% after the move to DC. So take me through what it was about that change that allowed you to become, frankly, automatic right around the rim once you started playing for Arecibo and the Washington Mystics.
Well, no, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, it was definitely just consistency. I feel like their coaches, the assistant coaches that were at the Mystics, they're very, very detailed when it comes to shooting and percentages. So I didn't really have much of an option. If I did want to play and or touch the ball, I had to be able to be efficient. And they would read me the numbers. They would tell me my stats, my field goal percentage, my efficiency, and they would work on me with that. They would help me with the little things in my game that could be better, should be better at this level. But I would definitely just say working. They're very, very, very hard-nosed workers, and they know what they want out of their players, and they're very, very specific with the rules or the roles that they give you. And so knowing that I'm coming into a new team, I had to find that very, very quickly and just be able to work and capitalize off of it. I knew that, okay, I'm a great defender, but I could be better around the rim, and they helped me realize that, and they helped me get my game to that point. But it was definitely a lot of shots going up, definitely a lot of shots in practice, a lot of frustrating days or frustrating nights of not being where you want to be. And the
Hmm.
Mystics saw that, and they just continue to work and grow with you and be there alongside with you. So it was definitely a unique experience for me. I know change isn't always ideal, but in that situation, I felt like it was needed for me.
You see those numbers too changing across the board. It wasn't just at the rim. I mean, I remember having this conversation with you back in college, right? Where you're a 3 level scorer. This is something that's not necessarily recognized as much as it ought to be. You got the opportunity in DC to be doing that. You got the chance to be shooting your mid-range shots north of 40%. People have to respect the shot all the way out to the 3-point line. When you talk about those effort shooting. Is that where the bulk of the work went? Like what did that routine even look like?
Well, it started off with them kinda changing my mechanics a little bit, the way I position the ball, the way I hold the ball, the way I explode up when I'm shooting. It was a lot of things that went into, kinda getting myself to where I wanna be, and spending a lot of time working with coaches who know what they're doing and who know what a good shooting form looks like or a good shot looks like. My biggest thing was being on balance when I took shots or rushing my shots, but typically I would fall off balance or I would sway one way or the other. I wouldn't be squared up to the rim. And so squaring up was a big thing for me. Making sure my feet were where I want and need my feet to be was another big thing. And just touch around the rim. They mainly focus on that. And then when you work on the little things inside the rim, you can start doing more things outside and expanding your game. And so towards the end of the year, you got to see that a little more with, my little short corner shots and my little mid-range shots. But it's definitely a work in progress. It didn't happen overnight.
It's fascinating to see. It is growth that I am, let us say, pleased but not surprised to see. And I'm excited to talk about where that's heading in 2024 as well. Of course, Athletes Unlimited and your experience that's coming up there is going to be a critical and fascinating part about it. So we're going to talk more about that in segment 2. But first, really excited to talk to you guys about BetterHelp. And this show and this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp, as a matter of fact. We head into 2024, and it's a time to reset. It's a time to think about what are some things you want to keep the same about yourself? What are things you want to change? What are things that you have an opportunity to grow at? Well, therapy is a really opportune way to do that, to be able to take a reset and give yourself the opportunity to think about the ways to make yourself happier and more comfortable. If you're thinking of starting therapy, why don't you give BetterHelp a try? It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made and find more of it. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Back here with Queen Egbo in segment 2. And again, I was so delighted when I saw that you were part of Athletes Unlimited, just because, well, I'll tell you, there's this one stat that I think informs it for me. You, and this is per synergy, you were at 0.956 points per possession last year when you went over to DC, which is just elite. And it's especially elite for a young player, a big coming off the bench. It's a very big deal. But in transition, you were at 1.25 points per possession, which is just crazy good. And so when you think about the way AU operates, the fact that so many of those games are played at such a fast pace, that was most exciting to me. But ultimately, who cares was most exciting for me? What was most exciting for you about the Athletes Unlimited opportunity when they first approached you and you started thinking about it?
I would say the ability to just play basketball, but not play without all the rules and the politics and the worry. I feel like AU is kind of a place where you go to grow, you go to have fun, but you go to get better at basketball. And I feel like that was the kind of the perfect happy medium for me during the off season. Obviously, I still want to grow and get better as a player, but being in Dallas and having the opportunity to have fun where I play and how I play, it's very, very it's a unique experience, especially because they play so fast. I definitely do love getting up and down. I don't like playing slow, so I feel like it fits the way I want to play, and it's just going to be a very unique experience, very fun. It's my first time, so I don't really know what to expect, but I saw the games last year. I had teammates and friends in it last year, so heard nothing but good things.
Who's been in your ear among the AU alums? What have those conversations been like Who have you been talking to kind of get you ready?
Um, Liz. Liz is one of my closest friends, and she knows Imma be in AU, so she's told me a lot of things. I've spoken to Lexi in the past, about it. But yeah.
I mean, it really is an interesting experiment, and it also kind of has
Mhm.
to change the way you think about it, right? I mean, how are you going to kind of measure, navigate your role there? How are you looking at goals? Is it, look, it's number one, and I'm going to put my game out there and see where the stats fall, or do you have like particular areas of emphasis that you think help you get to the top of the AU leaderboard? And for those who are not aware of it, AU, it's scored individually. So it's a very different way of thinking about it externally. What's that like for you as a player?
Um, well, I'm very goal oriented, so I did have some goals. One of my goals was to average a double double. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but I know that if I set my goal high, then I know that the sky is the limit for me. Rebounds, I'm a good rebounder, so hopefully that could help me, more than the guards. Um, but yeah, just rebounding, playing really good defense, scoring. I feel like that should help me get to where I need to be. And then just doing the other little things, like blocking, maybe getting a few steals here and there. Don't hurt, but yeah, definitely I think rebounding and scoring when I have the opportunity will definitely help me. And just not taking being efficient and not taking bad shots just because I have the ball in my hands and being smart when I play and getting other people open. But
I mean, I would assume you grabbed 30% of your available defensive rebounds last year, and you are a shot blocker extraordinaire. I would assume you're going to be drafted very high. I do wonder, though, that you end a week number one, number two, you get to be the captain for the following week. You've seen the list. You've seen the people who are on there. Who's the player you're most excited about playing with at AU who you haven't had a chance to play with yet?
um that's a really good question because there's a lot. I haven't played with Lexi
Yeah.
Brown. I think she's a great shooter. And I think she brings a lot to the game, especially AU. I haven't played with Kirsten Bell. I think she's another really, really good shooter. And they're both fun players to play alongside of. So guards like that, I definitely can see us getting along pretty well. Odyssey, she's a really good point guard. But yeah, I don't know if I'm not excited to play with anybody. I'm more so excited to play with everybody and just learning new people because I don't think I've really played with anybody before, um, except a few. Tiff, I'm excited to play with Tiff. She's definitely Tiff and Kelsey. Those are how could I forget Tiff and Kelsey? They're definitely on the top of my list. But those were old teammates, so
They
not fair.
count. They count. I think that we'll allow it for sure. It is obviously a fascinating opportunity from a basketball perspective. I just wonder from like just a human body perspective. Instead of flying overseas, instead of
Mhm,
playing overseas, you've got this 4-week season, begins February 29th, I believe, right? And
mhm,
and you have an opportunity to play at a high level, to also be home in order to recuperate, in order to get your mind where you want it to be and your body where you want it to be. How much different does an off season like this feel for you and for just players in general ahead of the grind of, what's going to be a 40-game WNBA season with the expectation
mhm.
of playoffs beyond?
Yeah, it definitely gives your body a chance to relax. I would say if I had gone overseas, I would have had to go overseas either January or right when the season ended. So it doesn't really give you too much of a break, especially if you don't make playoffs and they expect you to be overseas even faster. AU gives you the opportunity to rest, recover, get your mind right before even having to pick up a ball again. And I think it's just really nice for women. Just because we play basketball year round almost, coming from college, going straight to the pros, and then going overseas, you're playing basketball all year. And so AU gives you the ability to just kind of feel refreshed. They give you a couple months off before the season starts, and then it's a It's a short term. It's a short season, 4 weeks compared to 4 months or 6 months in the league or overseas. So I think it's a way to still play at a hard level, play at a fast level, at a high level, but not killing yourself, and still to where you're playing enough games that is still fun and entertaining, and they mix enough teams around and they do enough to to keep fans entertained and to keep the players engaged in the games.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just a boon for the state of Texas, which has
Yeah.
so much women's basketball now year round. Between AU, you get the wins obviously during the WNBA season, and it is the college season down in your state of Texas. Very, very interesting. So we'll be back in
Yeah.
a moment with segment 3. I want to talk to you about it, get your Texas-based view on everything that's happening so far in the college game. But first, I want to talk to you guys about FanDuel. And while you're in Texas, Queen, I am up in New Jersey, in South Jersey, right near Philadelphia. And so, given what's happened to the Philadelphia Eagles, there has been, I would say, almost a period of mourning over the panic among the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. FanDuel is here for you, Eagles fans. There is a new customer offer that you can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Again, $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. So if the Eagles coming up against Tampa Bay do what they did against the New York Giants in 4 of the last 5 weeks, Eagles fans still get that as cold comfort moving forward into the rest of the NFL playoffs. They can use it for live same-game parlays, find all the bets you need right in that new Explore tab. Go to FanDuel.com/locked on. You can make your first bet a layup. Again, that's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Yeah, people in Philly are definitely having trouble processing the NFL season. So it's been something else. Yeah. But so down in Texas, where we see and obviously look, we're all incredibly sad about Rory Harmon getting injured, and
Oh, yeah.
seeing that happen was, Rory's been on the show and is just such an incredible performer, and we hope she comes back soon. But we can't let that overshadow just how incredible the college basketball season has been there, where Texas has been off to a great start under Vic Schaefer. TCU is doing some incredible things. We want Sedona Prince back healthy soon. TCU got to a strong start, but TCU's undefeated run came to an end the same way that Texas's undefeated run came to an end at the hand of the Baylor Bears. So,
Sick 'em Bears.
as a Baylor alum, what are you seeing out of your former team so far this year, and just how good are they going to be?
They definitely look really, really good, under Nikki. I think last year, Nikki's first year was a lot of getting used to, a lot of getting familiar with. She had inherited a lot of players, and I feel like now she's able to recruit the type of girl she wants in her program, and it's definitely coming along nice for her. The kids are great. The way they're playing is amazing. It's definitely different than, kind of how we used to play, but it's more pro oriented, the way she coaches and the style of basketball is more geared towards the WNBA. But I think it's good for them, and I feel like a lot of teams are having trouble keeping up with them because of that. Because Nikki is so pro-minded, a lot of college coaches haven't coached at that level, and so I think it gives a little bit of a advantage for her and her players that are underneath her, and you can tell in the way they play, they may not look, the best. They may not be making all the shots in the world, but when it comes down to fundamentals and X's and O's, they typically make the right decision, and it definitely helps them at the end of the game.
You see what you have become in the pros. You see what Melissa Smith has become in the pros as well. It almost, and this is from the outside, it almost looked like you guys were free to be the players you wanted to be when Nikki Collin came and took over at Baylor. Do you feel that way? Was that what the experience was internally?
Yeah, Nikki definitely pushed us out of our comfort zone. I would say, especially me. Melissa was, already the player she was. But Nikki definitely made that even better. I would say in my situation, Nikki made me more comfortable with taking those shots and being comfortable working on my 3-point shot, even though I wasn't at that level yet. She knew that I had to get there eventually if I wanted to sustain in the league. And so she definitely helped me grow as a player and helped me realize that what I was doing before was okay, but it's not going to be good enough when I get to the next level. And I think that's where the growth has shown. A lot of players don't have coaches that push them to be better professional players. And Nikki has always been there, watching our games or just supporting us, telling us what we could do better. And I think that definitely helps when you're just a young kid who doesn't really know anything and you're coming into a dog world. But yeah, the Sikkim Bears, those Baylor Bears are on a roll. I'm so excited. And they have a new facility, so go them. But
Have you been to it yet? We had Taylor
no.
Andrews on. She was raving about it. She said it was awesome.
I
It's
plan on going when I'm in Dallas, so
understood.
hopefully I can get down there, but
It should be a good time. And yeah, I mean, to your point, Nikki Collin made sure there are coaches who prepare the players to play as well as they can today for the current system they're in, and those who look
mhm.
for their players as well. So seeing the way she prepares her players, significant to young players. You go play for Nikki
Yeah,
Collin, someday you can end up where Queen Egbo is today, which is starring
exactly.
across the world, AU, WNBA. Queen, it's always great to chat with you, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Howard.
And to our listeners, want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We will, of course, be back with you tomorrow. Until then, I say,
Bye.
Lady or Deuce?
This is Lady.
Lady, thank you for being on the program as well. Bye, Lady. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.
You too.
Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.